Hello guys, welcome to Global Happenings. Today we have a trending news here for you, and the headline of the news reads, finally, Nigeria is placed on special watch list by the US. But before we continue with details of the news and further analysis, I'll like you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish videos on YouTube. All right, let's look at the news in detail. Nigeria has been placed on a special watch list of countries that have engaged in or tolerated severe violation of religious freedom by the United States of America. A statement on Friday by the Secretary of State, Michael Pompeo, explained Nigeria was added to the list alongside Sudan, Nicaragua, and Cuba. The United States of America also designated Boko Haram as an entity of particular concern alongside El Nusra Front, Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Al Qaeda, El Shabaab, the Houthis, the ISIS, Khorasan, and the Taliban. Other countries that have been on the list under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 include Burma, China, Eritrea, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan.
The U.S. Department of State also renewed their placement of Comoros, Russia, and Uzbekistan on the special watch list. Nigeria may have joined the list because of the clampdown on Islamic movements in Nigeria, IMN, popularly known as the Shiite Muslims, as well as the killing of Christians in the north. The department explained, these designations underscore the United States' commitment to protect those who seek to exercise the freedom of religion or belief. We believe that everyone, everywhere, at all times, should have the right to live according to the dictates of their conscience. We will continue to challenge state and non-state entities that seek to infringe upon those fundamental rights and to ensure they are held to account for their actions. The US-based human rights lawyer Emmanuel Ogebe described the placement of Nigeria on the list as long overdue. He said the killings of Christians and burnings of churches in the north were enough to penalize the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. According to him, we are happy to know that despite these shortcomings, the U.S. government saw enough to escalate Nigerian designation to the penultimate warning watch list. Nigeria is the most dangerous place in the world to be a Christian, and it's high time this is recognized. It is to be noted, however, that the U.S. is launching an international alliance of countries for religious freedom early in the new year. I understand that if countries like Nigeria agree to work to improve their standing by joining this alliance, it may help turn around the nation's current negative ranking.
All right, thank you very much. We have to look at this critically because it affects the generality of Nigeria being included in the watch list. What we're going to be looking at in Jiffy is what's the consequences of being involved in or being included, being placed on international or in US watch list, especially in respect to the reasons that they have given. And we're going to share one or two things. And I just want to let us know that the first reason when you are placed, the consequence that you're going to suffer, number one, is that Nigerians may not have that ease of traveling to US, whether by A or by sea, because they have to pass through special scrutiny, whether in the seaport or also in the airport. You are going to be scrutinized severely if you must even be allowed to enter into their country. And secondly, Nigerians will be denied US visa and permission to enter into US. And this is really serious. There are a lot of Nigerian citizens who are currently thinking of going to school abroad. Now that our name has been included, most of them, at least a reasonable percentage of Nigerians who are thinking of going abroad to study, especially in the United States of America, will be denied that opportunity of going there to study. Another thing also which may also seem to affect is the fact that there are a lot of grants Nigerians have been getting from the United States, from the UN and all of that. Most of them may be reduced. Those are the consequences. Nigerians may not have that free flow of grants again from the United States of America, because already we've been enlisted as one country that trivializes the fundamental human right and have no respect for the rule of law. So we're going to be discussing around all of this. And don't forget that whenever they place you on a watch list like that, the federal government of the United States of America are going to send that list to both the state and the local law enforcement agencies to watch out for Nigerians. So one of the things you're going to be noticing is that Nigerians will be really watch out for those who are still in those countries, who are working or who are going to school in those countries. They are going to be really, really monitored. They are going to be really watched. Anything you do, before you know, they deport you, because they just perceive that blood is running in you, and you may do something which may not be overly good to the citizenry of the United States of America. So, consequence on this, looking at the gravity of this consequence, what do you have to say about what the government may possibly do now to salvage the country?
But for those living abroad, those already living in the United States, they have their rules and their regulations. In as much as you don't break them, I think you still be given such freedom. Where it becomes terrible is when you're about to go in.
But that green tonight, don't forget.
Yes, you will be
scrutinized. Flashlight on you.
Yes, you are very correct. The challenge is going to be your green passport. Each time you tender your green passport as you're entering the United States, it's as if you are just giving them red flag. Danger, search him. And this is probably because, our names, it was even bad before now. How much more when Nigeria's name has not entered the watch list. Now, let's go back to the question we were discussing. The challenge, one of our problems we have in Nigeria, which I really thank God for. Let's start with the social media. Before the advent of social media in Nigeria, some of these things will come in and no one gets to hear. Most people who get to hear those who were in the scene. Like, take for instance this issue of the CJN saying that he's emphasizing that there should be emphasizing and supporting, in fact, moving the motion that after all in the Senate they have the majority, as in Hausa Muslims have the majority in the Senate. So why shouldn't they amend the law, the constitution, to enshrine and give power to Sharia? That what it means now is that by default, if they put that in place, no matter what you say, this administration have not been totally truthful to Nigerians. They have not been transparent enough to Nigerians for us to believe that just the changing of amendment of that constitution to include Sharia much more will not end up Islamatizing Nigeria. If they had transparency before now, we would have said, okay, maybe we should just, but right now, any amendment, those who placed the constitution knew what they were doing, because Nigeria is a multi religious country. Therefore, every religion count. So trying to make Sharia much more powerful than every other religion is infringing on freedom, right to religion, freedom of worship. And this is one of the things that the United States are trying to guide against, which is against the human rights. That's for one. Then even before the advent of issue of social media, you only get to see uploads of Boko Haram and insurgencies once a while, really. But now it's very common. And Boko Haram has been for almost a decade now, insurgent. Instead of trying to reduce it, it's increasing. Instead, it looks as if they're recruiting more hands. Already, some part of the north, Borno, in recent time, Yola or Yobe, one of those states, also had a little of the attack. It has been, when we are still talking about the issue of Boko Haram, and they are very specific. They are against education. Some of them are even against you worshipping any other thing than Islam. We are still battling with the issue of Boko Haram. We are now looking at ISIS. We're looking at issue of this ISWAP, which is the Western type that have moved in. They have even vowed that they will move and make every state they move in as one. So all those things must have been engineered, and some of these videos are uploaded every other time. And these are the things they're looking at, so that at the end of the day, Nigeria, and they're actually looking at, being that this Buhari-led administration is not just a man, but he was a former retired general, so he knows what it is to curb security issues. So they're hoping that, with this advent of all this, it should be curbed to the barest minimum. And I also hope and pray that this alliance they are hoping to form with all countries involved, Nigeria should take it up and see how they can help quell all these issues surrounding security insurgencies in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. We are looking at the government responding to this, because it's going to affect not just the federal government, but the generality of Nigerians. So many people are planning to go abroad to do one or two things. Some are creating business relationship with countries in United States and other states or other international organization. Some are getting grants from them and all of that. Now that we've been placed on watch list, it therefore means that will be overly regulated, being that a Nigerian is involved. I think we have legal luminary, the Attorney General of the Federation, and also the Minister of Justice. He has a part to play here. Some of those, they need to sit down and handle this issue. It will be wrong for it to be written against this government that it was in his time. I'm talking about Muhammadu Buhari. He's doing a lot to see how he can curb all of these things, but we need him to extend his strength more and more, because it will not be good enough for it to be written against this administration that it was in his time. Nigeria was blacklisted. Nigeria was put on the watch list of countries that violate, the fundamental human right of freedom to religion, freedom of worship. It would not augur very well. That's why we are expecting that the legal luminaries, those who have legal backings, they need to sit down and think of what to do to get this corrected. Though some other countries of the world have also been complaining that immediately your name falls into United States watch list, special watch list, you may be there for as long as possible, except you call for a review of it based on the things that you have done so far. So, number one, I expect that the Ministry of Defense should jump into work to see how we can war against, Boko Haram, and see how we can eradicate their presence in the northeast especially. And some of the religious detainees should be released. Keeping them is putting Nigeria in international watch list as one of those countries that are violating, people's right and all of that. A guy like the leader of Shiite group, he's been there for quite a long time, trial upon trial, and it doesn't really make sense. Why not put him on a bail? Let him be coming from his house down there and see how you can place security around environment where you know that they are carrying out their stuff. Before now, they were not really problematic group and all of that. See how we can handle that and put a rest to it. And there are also some political detainees who have been under detention for too long. Some of them, their trials have not been coming up as often as expected. And this is not good enough. Nigerians are writing. Don't forget that fairly recently, Nigerians have been writing to international organizations like UN, ECOWAS, and the likes. And these things have been spreading on the social media. Not just on social medias, they have been getting a copy. UN have been getting a copy. United States have been getting a copy. Other international organizations have been getting a copy of this petition. And all of them are pointed to the fact that the fundamental human rights of Nigeria have been violated. Let's see how we can put things right. I think the government really needs to wake up to its responsibility in any way we can correct this, so that at least we can still be enjoying bilateral relationship with some of this country. That's where we're going to wrap it up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon, so that you can get notification anytime we publish videos on YouTube. And please go to our comment section. Tell us, how do you think Nigeria can get its way out of the special watch list that we've been included by the United States of America? That's where we're going to leave it. Please do well to